Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Ripple Effect Podcast. We're so glad that you've joined us, whether you're watching this online or listening to it on the go. We are so happy that you've joined us here this week. In the studio, we have Brian Sevitz here with us, and Andy Jamerson is joining us here today. We'll get to her in a moment. But as always, we have the sponsor of the week that we'd like to let you know about, and the sponsor of the week is the most flavorful, some barbecue sauce. Now, Sweet Baby Ray's aren't returning any of my phone calls, so I'm not getting paid for this at all. But we are going to be having our barbecue community happening this Sunday, and I would love for them to sponsor me, but that hasn't happened yet, so maybe someday. But we are glad that you've joined us here today. We, as usual, we're going to start out by recapping this past week. So, Brian, how was your Sunday? Anything unique happen? Anything strange happen?
Sunday, I just felt off. I couldn't wake up. I was like both hours. I had a word salad. That's what I felt like. Maybe you didn't in the audience.
A word salad?
Yeah, just like I just said a bunch of jumbled words like before communion and stuff that I was like, did that even make sense? But I could not wake up. And like I don't really think it came out that way to other people, but it was just one of those weeks. I felt like I needed to sleep like 2 more hours. I feel like that every morning, but usually like second cup of coffee, I'm good. But this week, like I just never got there.
You know, I bet there's a lot of people that come Sunday mornings that feel that same way.
Right.
That feel a little jumbled up. Annie, how was your Sunday? Did you have a good Sunday?
I did, yeah. Ben and I actually headed out of town last weekend. I know.
Ooh.
We took an anniversary trip. It was the first time we've ever been away overnight, and it was...
Wow.
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
We went to Herman.
Herman, Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's fun. How long did you just go the weekend?
Yeah. So we headed on Friday. We came home Sunday.
Okay. How many years are we celebrating?
8.
8 years.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is great. Sunday we were continuing our series, and we're talking about, we've talked about some relational pitfalls to avoid. We talked about seeking peace, and this week was about serving first, and how in relationships, when you go in with the mentality not of what can I get out of it, but what can I give and how can I serve first, you are always going to be more blessed, and it's always going to be a more healthy relationship. I know we're getting into it just a little bit, but you mentioned you're married. When your husband comes home with the mentality of I'm going to serve my wife, my bride first, how does that help things better? Does things go smoothly?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do we need to make a plug for him to serve you more? Or?
No, he does a fantastic job. Thank you, baby.
Someone mentioned in the following, I guess a little bit after the service, I was talking about using your gifts and seeing your gifts as useful to serve others, and they asked the question, what if I don't know what my gifts are to serve others? And I was going to ask you both, have you ever had that question, and how did you figure out the gifts that God has given you? Brian?
Well, some of them are just talents.
Mm-hmm.
So you assume I've been given this talent to serve God. Other things, though, I feel like you have a piece of it in you, and yet God wants to grow you. And so there's been certain things that I felt like I was called to serve. Like when I first started going to Haiti or doing the financial stuff for them, like I had a piece of it, but I didn't have all the pieces and still don't. But God wants to stretch us in some of those areas. So I think a lot of it is just like where your passion is. Where do you feel the most burden? And whether or not you feel fully equipped, sometimes you're called to step into that, and you'll grow along the way.
That's good. Annie, what about you? Have you ever thought that question, like, I don't know what my gifts are and how to serve others, and then have you had any answers to that question?
Sure. So there's the standard Christianese, the need is the call.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we hear that so much that it just kind of goes in one ear and out the other. But it's so true. Like, yes, you have gifts, and yes, you have passions, and yes, you have certain abilities, but there are also needs within the body of Christ or within the church itself. But if nobody else is going to step up, even if it's not something you're passionate about or feel talented in, if that need is there and you're capable, I think that's also a call.
Yeah, I think that's usually the answer is, when you combine your gifts, your talents, open doors, and then the need that you felt burdened with, somewhere in there is God's gifted you uniquely to meet a need, and you might not feel like you can do it, but he certainly will provide the power to do it. So if you heard that sermon and you were the person that wrote that note or had that thought in your head, what if I don't know what my giftings are? I'm not saying you're doing this, but sometimes we use as an excuse to not do something. It's like, well, I don't know what my gifts are, so I'm not going to even try. Well, God might have put something on your heart. You might be asking the question more, I don't know how to do it. Well, that you got to figure out. But if there is a need and you have gifts or talents that you can meet those needs, that probably is part of it. So if you missed that sermon, we talked about how to serve first, why it matters, and you can check that out at tlcc.church and catch up on the sermons there. We're going to move now to the TLCC top 3, the top 3 things you need to know heading into this week that are coming up. Brian, take it away. You've got some of those.
Okay, the first one is, we've already been talking about this one, Barbecue Community. It's Sunday night at 6. I think we only have 4 or 5 entries for the barbecue contest, so we'd love it if more people participate, and we do want you to let us know. So you don't have to tell us what you're bringing or anything. We just want to know how many entries we're going to have, and there will be a prize for the top winner, and then of course people will get to enjoy whatever you make in the potluck. And so we're going to ask you to have that here. We're going to judge them right at 6, so please get them here, because since we want to enjoy them in the potluck, we need to judge them first before we turn people loose to start eating. But other than that, we're going to have some games. We're asking you to bring a side dish or a dessert, and we're going to provide hot dogs, drinks, stuff like that, and then of course the barbecue dishes that people are cooking. So that's the top one. The second thing is, we've been talking about Serve Day projects, and Serve Day is September 10th. We're in the kind of final planning stages before we start sign-ups, and we're talking about you as church attendees signing up to do one of these projects. So tlcc.church/serve is a place where you can submit a project either at your own home, your organization, just something you've noticed around town, like somebody needs to take care of this. Feel free to fill out the form and we will consider it and maybe be able to get a team for that. The third thing is, this coming Saturday is the second Saturday, so all guys invited to the second Saturday men's breakfast. It'll be here at the church this time, 7:30. We'll have coffee and donuts and a Devo, so hope to see you there.
There you go. Barbecue Community is happening this Sunday. Serve Day signups are coming soon. If you've got projects, please send them in to us. And then for all men, we're going to have our second Saturday, which will happen here at the church building. Okay, Andy, this is something that we do, that I like to do. I'm going to set a timer. Okay. And you got 30 seconds to tell us about yourself. So, people who don't know you.
About me personally?
Just what would, if someone's like, who are you? Okay. You got 30 seconds to tell them anything about your life that you feel is the most important to tell them. Okay? Okay. You ready?
I'm ready.
Ready, Mark? Get set, go.
Okay. So I'm Andy Jamerson. I am married to a wonderful serving husband.
And handsome.
So handsome. Mm-hmm. So handsome. I'll let him know that you said that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're cutting into my time.
Sorry, I'll give you a couple extra seconds.
Okay, good deal. We have 4 children. Tristan, Emma, Gracie, and Finley. Finley's kind of peeking over my shoulder a little bit here. 10
seconds.
Let's see. Okay. I speak Spanish. I like to eat. I like to eat lots of food. I love coffee and ice cream and
time. So what we've learned about Andy is that she loves to eat, she has a family, and she loves her family very much, and those are the most important things.
Pretty much.
And you speak Spanish.
I do. And obviously I love Jesus. I figured that could go without saying.
Oh, okay. All right. That's fine. Yeah. I think it's interesting when you put people under the gun of a time or of a clock, like the things that come out of their mouth. And like what's at the top of your head of, okay, here's what you need to know about me. But one of the most important things that we wanted to talk to you about today was an organization that you have founded and have been working now for a couple years, which is called Faith Bridge. Yeah. Tell us, what is that?
That is easier to talk about.
Okay.
I don't talk
No
about
timer.
myself very often. Okay, good deal, because we got all day, right?
Uh-huh.
All right, cool. So Faith Bridge is an organization. We founded it here in Moberly, but now we are statewide.
Okay.
So we assist foster, adoptive, and kinship families. So basically anyone with children in their home that are not biologically theirs. Any family can come in, and we have clothes and shoes and hygiene items and bedding and things like that for the children, and also for all of the kids in the home, and for the family themselves if they need more furniture, if they need things like that to support these kids.
Okay.
And then also when youth are in foster care and they turn 18 and they age out, they're pretty much starting over again with nothing. And so we help them get their first apartment, and we furnish that apartment at no cost. We help with some job placement. We help with vouchers for different things that they might need. We are implementing a mentorship program, so they will have like a co-pilot to kind of help them navigate independence so that they can be successful.
That's great. Why does this organization matter? Like, why is it needed?
So, foster care flies under the radar by design. There's enough trauma there already. There's enough sadness. There's just enough heaviness with foster care already. They don't need to be paraded around. And so it flies under the radar. And so because it's not in your face all day long, a lot of people don't see it as a need. You know, we see the commercials with the sad puppies.
Sarah McLachlan.
Yeah, cue the music.
Yeah.
But you don't necessarily see or hear a lot about foster care. And so what we want to do is not bring attention to the children themselves or the families themselves, but just to the need, so people can hear that there is a need and even know it, because many are not even aware that there is a need.
Yeah. Brian, I know your family has fostered somewhat, and have you had interactions with Faith Bridge? What is your kind of behind the scenes of being on that end of things, where you're taking in a foster care, a foster child? Like, did you have that experience of, we don't have the stuff, or we need the things that we could need? Like, share a little bit about that.
When we
I guess not everybody would know that you guys did that.
Right now we're more on the support, respite care, volunteer mode. Not to say we'll never have another kid in our home, but we're just waiting for the right situation, I guess. But when we had an opportunity to take a baby in, we had gotten rid of a lot of our stuff, and just we had 2 hours notice, something like that. You were here when that happened. I mean, and that's the way it often happens. Now, some of these families have fostered for a long time, and they've got a house full of, we can do this room for a 13-year-old or this room, but we weren't that. It was our first placement, and so I know that more than one occasion we came shopping at Faith Bridge. And one thing I remember, and I think it was through Faith Bridge, I don't remember. You can say if it wasn't you, but we had been given, maybe we got a car seat from Faith Bridge. We got one somewhere. Well, it didn't fit in any stroller we had. And we were like, we need this certain kind of stroller that it locks in, And somebody, whether it was Andy or whoever it was, found that thing on Craigslist and brought it to us at our house. And it's just like, even if that wasn't you, that's the kind of thing that Faith Bridge does. It's just like, we have the resources, we can outfit you with whatever you need. And then, so we, right now out front, somebody gave us a bunch of suitcases, and we're like, well, I don't know if she wants them or not, but we're gonna try to give them, because some of these kids come and they've got a trash bag. And so we're like, give those to Faith Bridge if they want them. But that's what it was to us, is you're in this sort of freak out mode with this new kid in your house, and they don't know what behaviors they'll have, and there's all these kind of things they're dealing with. And if resources is one thing that they don't have to stress out about, that's what they're all about.
Why is, Andy White, for you, why is fostering something that God's put on your heart to care for kids and families who are trying to make the best out of a very difficult situation? Why does that matter to you?
So, I think realistically it should matter to all of us. We are to care for the orphans and the widows, and they may not be technical orphans, but they are situational orphans. They do not have parents that can take care of them.
Right.
And so I think, we talked earlier about your call and your passion, and that's a need.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what about it for you was like, oh, this is something I need to start? Because let's just be honest, it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
Like, you've gone from the idea to now helping lead and run an organization that has a storefront that's now in multiple places. You're connecting with places outside of Moberly. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of work.
It is.
Like, why? Like, what drives you to do that?
Man.
Gotta dig deep here.
I know.
Dig deep here.
So let's start. My childhood, I grew up in a military family. Okay. So I lived all over the world. And so I have seen how people live all over the world. And so now living in America, like, we have this American dream, but our American dream is stuff. We have so much stuff. And I mean, even myself, my household, we're full of stuff. And there are so many kids who don't even have a family or a home or a bed to sleep in, much less all of this stuff that we just continue to collect over and over. And so seeing other cultures and seeing how they live and how they are just so full all the time, and then seeing our culture now, we're searching, we're looking, what can we do, how can we find fulfillment? And I think we find it, we find it in giving and in serving. And so Faith Bridge, I think, gives people the opportunity to do that. Hey, I've got stuff. And there are people who don't have stuff. There are people who need these things that I have. It's just sitting in my garage or in my attic or in a corner, wherever. So if we can bridge the people who have stuff with the people who need stuff or support or a home or a bed or whatever that may be, they need love, they need a family. That's kind of the purpose and the passion behind it all. And that's a personal thing for me. I find a lot of enjoyment and fulfillment in that, finding people the things that they need, whether it be a backpack or a t-shirt or a bed or a family, just whatever it is. I think that's a gifting that I have, is connecting people. And so it's
kind of a cool to say, this is something that has been a crutch for Americans, is all this stuff, and now allowing God to use the excess to do something great with it that can impact someone's life. It's kind of a little redemption story there.
Sure.
And I like it. Speaking of all the stuff, how do people find out, hey, there is a need that can match what I might have and I can meet that? How do they connect with Faith Bridge? Do you guys have newsletters? Do you have like a list of, hey, we have these needs publicized? How do they get in contact?
So early on, it was run out of our home, and so it was like, okay.
So you had lots of stuff.
We did. We had all this stuff, and so as more stuff came in, we had to eventually get a storefront.
Sure.
It developed into that, but in the early days, it was okay. So a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old little boy and little girl came in. We would post that on Facebook, like, who's got stuff, and people would just come with the stuff. Right. And then they started coming with more stuff that wasn't situational, and so now we have 2 stores, and 2 stock rooms full of stuff. And so if people have things that are in good condition or brand new and they've never used it, and they want to donate it, if it's child related or household related, teenagers, that we will take that. When we do have specific needs, we try to post those on our Wish List Wednesdays. So that is posted on Facebook.
Wish List Wednesday.
That's right. Hashtag.
I like it.
Wish List Wednesday. And so that's usually things that are more situational that we run out of quickly, like diapers and wipes, baby care, hygiene items, things like that, or if we need a car seat, stuff like that. But for the most part, because of the connections in the community and people being so generous and so giving, we are pretty well stocked. So
like great. During the formula shortage, I don't think we could have made it through. We just would have had to really use brands that weren't recommended and stuff. But 2 or 3 times, Andy provided the type of formula that the baby we had needed. And it was stressful because everybody was needing the same things.
Sure, yeah.
But, it's better to not switch brands every week when you have a baby in your house. So we didn't have to do that. And a lot of that was because of FaithBridge, helping fill the gap between when you could find it in the store.
Yeah. I think when it comes to foster care, there are a lot of those gaps, and having an organization like yours to bridge the gap
That's right.
is helpful. It's all right. we like it. We like it. Here, if you you know what to do with it. Okay.
You can have it.
So if you're not following FaithBridge on Facebook, make sure to go find FaithBridge on Facebook and like it, and that way you get the notifications when there is a need, and for Wishlist Wednesdays.
That's right.
And you can catch up on what's going on. I want to hear about the expansion because I don't know anything about this. So you said you're now statewide. What does that mean?
So we started, Randolph County and Howard County, like that's the circuit. And we have gotten some foundational grants to expand our carry-on program to Hannibal and to Macon.
Wonderful.
So so the carry-on program is the one for foster youth who age out of the foster care system, and so then they're on their own. They are trying to potentially get a job, their apartment. Most of them don't have a driver's license. If they do, they don't have a car. Yeah. So we try to help them with these tangible goods, furniture, bedding, kitchen stuff, all of that for their apartment. And we do have a lot of families that come in because we're one of the few foster closets where everything is free, and it's foster, adopted, and kinship. So it's any family, and a lot of them are. A lot of the other free closets are very limited on who they can serve and how much they can give out at a time.
Right.
Because we founded it, we can do what we want.
We do what we want.
I like it, yeah. And our board is incredible. They are very much on board with the whole. If we've got it and they need it, they can have it.
Yeah.
So we're not gonna say no because maybe they don't check a box. So that's a whole other thing.
Whole nother podcast.
So. Because of that, a lot of families do come in to see us from other parts of the state. And so, again, checking a box based on what part of, the town you live in or what county you live in or whatever, that just seems kind of ridiculous to me. If they can come in and they can get it, or if we can take it to them, let's do it.
Do you have an example or an illustration or a story of how you've seen how long have you been doing this now? 3-4 years?
3 years.
3 years. Just the impact that FaithBridge has had. Do you have anything that comes to mind of an example or a story that you were just kind of encouraged by that, okay, we are making a difference?
So one of the first teenagers that we helped with clothing and things like that, she was in a placement here in Moberly. She had never been to prom. She had never been to homecoming. She had moved so many times that
she never got that experience.
She never got that experience. She didn't have a group of friends to go with. She didn't have, even know what size dress that she would wear because that just wasn't something that it wasn't a lifestyle that she was able to live. And so not only was she able to come in and get a homecoming dress and heels, but one of our other community partners is a photographer, and so she took some pictures of her and a couple of her friends for homecoming. A floral shop donated their bouquets, and they went as a group of girls, and it was fantastic. They had an amazing time. When those pictures came back, she made sure to write a little thank you note on the back, and she sent it in FaithBridge as like a thank you. And she's no longer in Moberly, and I pray that she's doing amazing. I know that she has experiences now that she may not have had before, and I'm not tooting our horn because the family that she was in, they also were instrumental in making sure that she had those experiences and those things, because it's a big deal. A lot of these kids don't get to do that stuff.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's wonderful. Well, if you want to get connected with FaithBridge, the best way to do so is to go on Facebook and like their page, get connected with them there. And if you want to start getting involved and want to know how you can best do that, I would encourage you to go downtown and to visit the storefront. Tell me the address. I can't remember.
536 and 538 Reed Street, right across from the post office.
right across from the post office. Just to get a sense of, hey, this is what's here. Let's talk with you.
Yeah.
When are you guys open?
Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 10 to 2.
There you go. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So I like the Facebook page, and then also make sure that you, if you get the chance to, go down and see what's going on, because there are lots of needs, but it's also encouraging to see how many people are willing to help. And just to be reminded, there's a lot of negativity, and there's a lot of, oh man, I don't feel like there are good people or people want to help. But it's good to be reminded, no, we live in a community where there's lots of people who love Jesus, who are doing their best to follow him, and also who want their best for their community and are willing to help. So it's really encouraging to see that. One last thing, we wanted to do our part in helping Faith Bridge, so we just wanted to give you some money.
Sweet.
Is that okay if we give you some money?
I
guess you can take some money. We've talked about this for a while. Do you want to say anything more about this?
Well, main thing is we already told her we'd sponsor the event coming up, and then we just threw in some more with it.
Okay.
There you go.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate this.
I don't remember what the event is. What's it called?
So it's called the Low Country Boil.
Low Country Boil.
Yeah. Go ahead. Give me a plug.
I knew that was not right.
Yeah. Coming up on September 23rd, we have the Low Country Boil. So it's going to be catered by Zydeco's.
Ooh, yeah.
So we will have a shrimp boil and jambalaya and gator and boudin.
So good.
And then the Bearded Lady Bread Company is going to be there with some fresh sourdough. Rooted 2 for 2 is going to do some desserts. Last year they were incredible. Make sure you get some desserts. There's another one I know I'm forgetting. I'm so sorry. Oh, Tenley's.
Okay.
So she'll be there doing some lemonade. It'll be fruit-infused lemonades like last year. It'll be a great time. We'll have axe throwing out in the yard. We'll have an auction and a paddle raise, and just a lot of fun. A good time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
If they want to find out about that or sign up for that, where do they go?
So you can go onto the website.
Okay.
It's just faithbridgemoberly.org. There's a link there. You can get more information. You can get tickets. You can be a sponsor. You can have your own table with a big centerpiece, whatever you want to do.
Awesome. Well, we're so grateful for you and for the work that you do, and we're grateful for Faith Bridge, and we pray that God continues to bless it as it impacts lots of people.
Okay.
Let me end this podcast with the blessing of the week. It comes from the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 9, and the Apostle Paul is writing, and as we talked about serving first and helping other people, that is incredibly important. And Paul talks about in chapter 9 how he becomes all things to all people so that he can join in the message, join in working in the gospel message so that he might save some for Christ. And he talks about how that's important, but at the end he gives this little lesson and message that I guess I never really noticed. And it says this, chapter 9, verse 24. He says, "Do you not know that those who run in a race all run, but only one receives the prize? So you should run in such a way that you might win. But what's the goal of running the race as a Christian?" He says, "I do not run in such a way as without aim. I do not box in such a way without just beating the air. But I discipline my body, and I make it my slave." And here's the goal: "So that after I have preached to others," or you could put in there, after we have served lots of people, "I myself will not be disqualified." And it's an encouragement, but it's also a little bit of a warning. It's an encouragement that you can encourage lots of people, serve lots of people, you can make a difference. But the warning is, don't lose sight of the fact that you are also pursuing a relationship with Jesus. And Paul didn't want to get so lost in serving others and preaching to others that he forgot he was running a race as well. And so we have to be mindful as we serve others that we have to remember we don't want to be disqualified from the race. We want to make sure we're living our lives for Jesus. And because of the grace that God has given us through Christ, we're able to do that with the strength that he provides. So make sure that as you're serving others, you don't lose sight that it's also your job to live for Christ first. There's your encouragement of the week, and we hope that this podcast has been encouraging to you. Final words?
I'm good.
You good?
I need coffee.
Need some coffee? Girls, do you want to say anything? Final words? Do you want to wave to everybody real quick? Do you want to say hi? Oh, you're now you're shy? Okay. All right. God bless you all. We hope to see you next week. See you later.